Hello, welcome to my channel, and we're back with Benson, who's a little emotionally unstable today.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Which actually fits with this theme really well. Do you want to tell them why you're emotionally unstable today?
Kingdom Hearts is ruining my life. For those of you that don't know, the Union X, the Union Key, Union Cross,
No
whatever you want to call it,
spoilers.
the cutscenes came out for that. I'm just a mess. Nomura, I'm directly talking to you now. What are you doing? Why have you forsaken me? Are you God? Have you forsaken us, God? Please tell me why you make me feel these things in a game that has Mickey Mouse in it. Is Lucio even real? What is Quadratum?
Baby.
I need answers. Okay, I'm done.
Are you gonna be okay?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
Alright, this is going to stick with me until the next installment, but yeah.
Do you know what we're filming today?
No.
He never has
Never
any
do.
idea what we're
She never
filming.
tells me.
No. Okay. But the reason he is so emotionally unstable today actually fits in really well with this theme.
Shit.
Well, so if you don't know, Benson is a huge gamer. Very big nerd, which is the reason why most of the time I have him on this channel, we're talking in some form about video games. So today, we are filming a video of a list of books that I would like to see turned into video games.
Okay. That's fine.
So, just like I had you on here when I talked about books that I'd like to recommend to video game characters, you are going to have a job with this one. Obviously, you're going to tell me whether or not you think the game is playable, why, or why not, and if you would play it.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
That sound good?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
You ready?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
This first one already has a game very similar to it. If you watched our video game characters recommend books, you'll have already known what this is. But I want to see a game specifically set in this world following these characters. I hate Fairyland.
You just almost hit me in the face.
I know. You know what? That's a theme with this as well.
Yeah.
So this follows Gert, who at the start of this is a 6-year-old girl, and she gets pulled into this Fairyland, where basically she has to complete a quest within 24 hours. It's only supposed to take her 24 hours, and it ends up taking her 30 years. So while she starts off as really sweet and innocent, she just ends up becoming this murderous monster throughout all of it. And I feel like this would be great in video game form, from the art style down to the storyline itself. I think it would be awesome as a video game.
So what kind?
I don't know. That's up to that's you're the expert here.
Wow, you can't even you suck. God damn. Anyways, I see this as an indie game. I agree, it should be a video game. I see this as a 2D beat 'em up indie game, possibly a 3D style, like if you played Shadow of Mordor, maybe that. But I see it more as a 2D side-scrolling beat 'em up game, in all honesty, which I could see. You know, pixelated, maybe. Maybe pop-up storybook style, but, you know, either way works. I think it'd work as a video game.
Yeah. This next one is would be more, definitely more my style video game. It's more of a comfort game. I think it'd be super cute. Sleepy Princess in the Demon Castle. So this was also in the video game characters recommended. And this follows a princess who is kidnapped, and she really doesn't care that she's being held hostage. She just wants to find a good way to sleep, and she's basically tormenting all of the people in this game, or in this, obviously I want it to be a game, in this world. And yeah, so I feel like this would be a really great game, especially unlocking new characters, being able to find different ways to experiment and getting her to sleep, and yeah.
I don't see it.
No?
I genuinely
Really?
do not. I'm sorry. I haven't read the series, so I couldn't tell you the specifics of what happens. But honestly, the most I could see this is as a visual novel. I don't think it would work as in the style of Spiritfarer, like I think you're trying to say. I could see it maybe as a visual novel, but that's a hardcore maybe. I just don't see it as a video game, honestly.
Okay.
I don't see it.
Okay. This next one it's already inspired by a podcast. And this one I was a little iffy on if it could be turned into a game or not, or if it would be a game that I would necessarily play. But I think you would really like it. The Adventure Zone.
No, that's an obvious yes.
Yeah,
That's a very obvious yes. That's either, again, side-scrolling beat 'em up, or you can do like a 3D style action RPG. Maybe even a turn-based RPG style battle with pixelated graphics. Like, I could see this going multiple ways. I don't see why you wouldn't play it. Like, this is honestly a very... that and Fairyland are probably my best choices for these being video games. Like, it just works, honestly, for me.
This is inspired by a D&D podcast by the same name, and we follow our 3 main characters who are basically going on a bunch of different quests, and it's super funny. And then we occasionally get the DM who pops in and gives us some random tidbits, and so I feel like that would translate really well into a video game.
It could.
Now we're getting more into, I don't think I have any more graphic novels on this list, so we're getting into the ones that may or may not be a little bit of a stretch. So the first one is a childhood favorite of mine. I feel like this would be a very good cozy game. Suddenly Supernatural. This follows our main character, who is a 13-year-old girl who just recently found out that she can speak to the dead.
I don't know.
You don't know?
I couldn't tell you with this one, honestly. This looks like it definitely couldn't be. I don't know how... Again, I haven't read this book, so I couldn't tell you about if it could or not. I just don't know. I'm going to be honest. I really don't know with this one. It could be... I don't know. I mean, it could just be walking sim, which is boring. Like, not walking sim. It's more like just talking to them, which is like a visual novel again, I guess. And maybe a 3D platform... Not 3D platformer, 2D platformer. Like Metroidvania style. But again, I don't know. I haven't read this book, and quite frankly, from what you're... I don't know.
It's more about her coming to terms with the fact that she is a medium and being able to help spirits pass on and complete their unfinished business.
Well, we already have one. It's called Spirit Fair, so no.
That's different.
Sorry. No, you can't beat Spirit Fair. I'm sorry. So that it shouldn't even try to be a video game at that point. If that's the basis, it can't beat Spirit Fair. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen.
All right. You know what? You wouldn't have even played Spirit Fair if it wasn't for me. So
I was gonna, actually. Sass. It was on my wish list. I was a bit focused on my other games.
I pressured you.
Yeah, and I pressured you to play Kingdom Hearts.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, look how that's turned out.
All right, next book is... This might be a good horror game. I more like this. I feel like the story itself is really self-explanatory on why I think this could be a good video game. Benson might not agree with me, but that is I Am Not a Serial Killer. This follows our teenage protagonist as he thinks he experiences sociopathical abilities. And he has this set of rules where he has to, basically he feels like he has to follow this list in order to not become a serial killer. However, he starts noticing some weird things going on in this town. So he has to kind of try and break his rules without becoming a monster himself in order to figure out what's actually going on.
You're picking books that I have never read, and it's not helping at all. Well, it's not helping in the slightest.
Well, you were fine with video game characters.
Yes! Those I understood from the basis. I need to know the actual story and, like, read the thing to actually get, like, something from this. Like, the graphic novels, at least, I could maybe understand. Sleeping Princess was the hardest one, but I have never read or heard of most of these, so... I can see it.
You can see it. It's
like an atmospheric horror. Like, I'm thinking Alice Madness Returns, maybe Silent Hill, maybe a mixture of both. Maybe one of those 3D game, like one of those games where it's more about the atmosphere. I could see it that way, but other than that, probably not.
This next one is one of my favorite books of all time.
Night Circus.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, I see this as definitely a co-op game. One of the parts in this, this isn't really a spoiler because it has to do with the circus, but one of the parts in this is the fact that they have to basically collaborate on this circus, and it's a competition to see who does the better aspects of the circus. So I feel like this would be a really cute, cozy co-op game.
I see it as an It Takes Two type of game.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can. I mean, again, I'd have to read the story fully, but from what I've heard and from what I've seen, I could see it as like a It Takes Two type of co-op game. I don't know if it'd be exactly as high-paced as It Takes Two, but maybe a little less. But yeah, I mean, I guess I could see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell Benson has some very high opinions.
I do. I very do.
This next one is another one you are going to read. That is Kings of the Wild.
Easy. Easy pick.
Yeah,
That's
I know,
a yes.
I know. So this follows our characters who used to be a pretty famous band of mercenaries. And basically something happens with one of the members' daughters and they all have to go rescue her. So it's about them forming and trying to get the band back together to go rescue her and other people that are in this troubled situation. I would definitely
Easy pick.
I would play
It's
this
a yes.
in a second.
It's either later Assassin's Creed games where it takes the action combat like Valhalla, or it's like a Viking Battle of Asgard thing, where like you're building up your army as you're rescuing people and hiring people to take down these massive forts of, I think it's Hell was the, again, this game is very, I would be surprised if most of you out there are gamers that actually know of Viking Battle for Asgard. It's an Xbox 360 PS3 game, but like basically you were a Viking that was recruiting different people and trying to build an army essentially to defeat, I think it was Hell was the person that you fought. It's been a very long time since I played the game, but it was pretty decent all things considered. But I could see it being like that essentially, or Shadow of War, Middle Earth, maybe. But that's honestly what I can see, like just an action role-playing game, graphic dismemberment, very good story, and also just in general like an army building scenario to it, like those games essentially. Not like strategic like Total War, but like I said, more along the line of Viking and also Assassin's Creed, especially Valhalla and Odyssey.
Yeah, great book. Y'all should read it. Next one, The Last Name Zara. So this follows a world where dragons are basically outlawed, and our main character is essentially a dragon slayer. It's a lot of really complicated. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have chosen this one because you have not read this one yet. But there's a lot of
she hunts dragons.
Yes, and it's a lot about storytelling, and there's a lot more to it that you will understand why I would want this to be a video game when you actually get to it.
I can see why. I actually would think of it. From what I'm guessing on a surface level, I see it as a combination of Monster Hunter and Souls. Like the Souls series, like Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3. Like that combined with Monster Hunter. And quite frankly, because again, I can imagine it being like you're hunting these dragons, which are monsters, and you would build equipment from their scales and all that shit, and basically upgrade, essentially. But also, too, I can also see it as a mixture of Dark Souls where it's tough, you know? I don't know her strength, I don't know her exact stuff, but I see her being like a tough hunter that no matter how tough, dragons are tough fucking beings, and it's like a very rigid battle in a way, like a rigid combat system. Like if you, for those of you that have played the Souls games and the Monster Hunter games, you would know what I'm talking about when I mean that their combat is rigid in a good way compared to other video games. A bit more realistic, I'll say. Let's go with that. Bit more realistic, and maybe the storytelling, a bit of sprinkling of like high fantasy storytelling in there, like D&D is essentially what I'm seeing. Oh shit! Shush for a second. You were gonna say something. I'm sorry. I know now. Dark Alliance. It's going to be Dark Alliance. May, if you're watching this, I feel like this would be a good Dark Alliance game, in all honesty. The combat reminds me of Souls in a way. You're hunting these high fantasy dragons, there's storytelling. It would be like Dark Alliance.
Now, the reason I would want to see this turned into a game is because, like, I would more be interested in the cutscene aspect of it, because there is so much storytelling that goes into this, and you find out that beyond just hunting dragons, she has so much of a deeper connection to dragons, and I feel like that story would translate beautifully in a video game.
Yeah, we'll see. People have said that before. Many have failed.
Well, you know what? If it's done right.
Yeah, and it's not done right.
I know it's not often done right, okay?
Yeah, a lot of people have high expectations for stories. Guess what happens? Garbage. Last of Us 2, garbage. Other shit. What about fucking... Not a big fan of the Uncharted story. Not too big of a fan. It's good, but it's not like my favorite. I wouldn't say it's garbage. Last of Us story. Overrated, but
He's just coming
It's
at
good,
me right
but
now.
overrated. Mario Story, 10 out of 10. I love jumping. I'm kidding. Please, don't come at me. If you want good story, if you want good story, really good story, Paper Mario, baby. I'm not even kidding. Paper Mario has some fun stories. I mean, I'm just saying. It's true. I'm sorry. Sony likes to make big cinematic experiences, and unfortunately, it just doesn't cut it. But God of War is a good cinematic experience. I do like the God of War games. I like the early Assassin's Creed. I still like the Assassin's Creed stories, but I've lost track of present day at this point. I have to constantly remind myself what is going on in the present day. But the Assassin stories, those are...
Is that ours?
Yep.
This next one, I'm not sure how it would translate into a game. However, I immediately thought of the aspect in Alice Madness Returns where you collect memories. So this is Land of Roar. This is a middle grade novel about two siblings who have basically forgotten about this land that they used to go to when they were younger and used to go visit their grandparents. And one day their grandfather, well, basically just goofing off, ends up rediscovering this land. And he gets pulled into it, so they have to go back and they're basically rediscovering everything that they forgot. So I feel like...
I don't know.
It's a little bit of a stretch for me, but
I see it being told
like
the story. I don't know. I don't like it, honestly.
Really?
I don't like it. I'm sorry. This seems like something that you could easily mess up, in all honesty. It's a bit dangerous of an idea. You could mess it up. I see it in the style of possibly Sea of Solitude, like that type of game. I don't see it as Alice Madness Returns, honestly.
Well, that's the only aspect that I took from Alice Madness Returns. I didn't say it had to be dark.
Well, I'm just saying. I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see it. No, I'm sorry. I don't.
Okay. It's another one that's a little flimsy. Actually, these last three were a little flimsy for me.
That's gonna translate well for me.
Yeah. This is Amari and the Night Brothers. This was also in the video game Character Recommends. We recommended this to Luigi. So this follows Amari as her brother has gone missing. And she soon discovers that there is a supernatural world, and that might be the reason that her brother has gone missing. So she has to infiltrate this world and collect clues and go through these trials in order to be what words?
I don't know.
In order to be considered part of this society, in order to try to get her brother to come home.
I actually could see it.
Yeah?
I could see it. Honestly, again, indie game, probably. It's traveling between dimensions, easy stuff. Bit more of a puzzle platformer based game.
Yeah.
Can see that. Honestly, I could see this. Indie, it's like a puzzle platformer to me. That's about as far as I could see it, honestly. I can't see it as anything else.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you agree. Okay. This next one is definitely a stretch. However, it includes video game elements. It's very deeply story-driven, so I feel like that may or may not translate well into...
Yeah, well, you could also say movies are story-driven and books are story-driven. You don't just need story. As much as I'm a story person, you need gameplay. Good gameplay.
I'm saying video games are associated with this book to the point where I can justify... Oops. To the point where I can justify this possibly being turned into a game. You are going to disagree with this one so hard. This is the Starless Sea. This follows Zachary, who discovers a book in his school library. And upon reading it, he realizes that the first chapter is based on his life. Like I said, there's a lot of storytelling aspects in this that I feel may or may not translate very well into video games.
No.
There's a lot of video game topics going on throughout this book.
No. I don't care if there are video game topics. I don't care if there are storytelling topics. This is not a video game book. I can't see it. I'm sorry, honey. I really cannot see it. You could talk about video games all you want in this book, but it needs to translate over into actually being a video game. You could say that Ready Player One would be a good video game, but unfortunately someone can make it shit. There's
a reason I didn't put that on there.
Exactly. That's the thing. You could literally say that, unfortunately. I just can't see it. I don't know. I don't even see this as like a visual novel, possibly. Honestly, this is just better as a board game. Like a D&D type of game. Maybe. I don't know. Not a video game. Like a choose your own adventure type of thing. Or like you're set in the story and you have to rely on skills. Like you make the story as you go in your interactions. I don't see this as a video game, honestly. I'm sorry. I don't know. It's tough. I wouldn't say it's
critic.
I wouldn't say it's a tough game. Not a tough game. A tough book. It's a tough book for sure to like make into a video game. But sometimes you can just do it as like there are other outlets for games. Like there's D&D, and obviously this would be something that if you do want to make this into a game, you can make it into a D&D game. But even then, I don't see it. I don't see this being any type of game, honestly. No offense. I'm sorry. I know you love the book, but I see this staying as a book or a movie, and that's about it.
Yeah, no, definitely not a movie.
No?
That's why I said I was really on the fence
just a book
about
then.
it.
Just a flat-out book.
Okay, because it is... okay, I tend to gravitate more towards story-based games, which is what my opinions were based on for most of these books.
Even then, story-based games have some good gameplay. I can't see any way to make the gameplay of Starless Sea good. I don't see it, unfortunately. Yeah. I just don't see it in some shape or form. And even then, a lot of these story-based games can be turned into simple arcade games or action games, like in the case of Kings of the Wild. This one I have a hard time even justifying in some way. I just don't see it, unfortunately.
Okay. And those are all of the books that I chose for this. Are there okay, first of all, are there any books that you think would be good as video games?
Off the top of my head?
Yes, besides the ones that I mentioned.
I have way too many books to even think about, so I don't even know. A lot of them are Star Wars or fantasy, which could easily turn into just a simple sci-fi or fantasy action game, or an RPG game, or turn-based RPG, or action, or whatever. Off the top of my head, I don't know any specifics, so I couldn't tell you, unfortunately.
Any opinions you feel that nothing... What are your opinions on things being turned into video games? On other forms of media?
Do it right. If you're going to make it a video game, much like you turn a book into a movie, this is just for entertainment in general. Do it right. Okay? You see SpongeBob had some great games. Also had some stinkers. Why? Because they didn't do it right. Okay? You see the Avatar game? Not the Avatar Last Airbender. Actually, yeah, the Avatar Last Airbender game. They're pretty decent for the most part, but I wouldn't recommend them over the show or like the comics or anything. The Avatar of the Blue People, not that great of a game from what I remember. The Harry Potter games, not that good. Do it right. If you're going to turn something into another form of media, you need to do it right. Otherwise, you have no business doing it. You're doing it just for cash at that point. Don't do that. I got too real for a second. I just went off.
That is perfectly valid.
It's
the same thing with any creation.
That's what I just said. Yeah, every other entertainment medium, you're gonna do it right. If you're not gonna do it justice, look at the good ones. For example, look at the early SpongeBob games like Battle for Bikini Bottom, SpongeBob SquarePants movie, etc. Like the PlayStation 2 era for the most part. Look at Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. They did that game incredibly well in regards to the media. If you're not going to do the world justice, then you have no right to ever make a game or a book or a movie based off of whatever you're trying to do.
Welcome to Hot Takes with Benson.
I'm fuming after my podcast with Shogun I the Leader last night, where I tore apart Nintendo and Sony. And one of my comments, and I included myself in this comment, was that gamers are suckers. So, it sort of was a very hot, and quite frankly, they all didn't disagree. I think we were all in unison for a lot of our hot takes, but someone out there is probably going to try to cancel me for it, so
don't do it on my channel.
I'm disappearing into the void. Goodbye. Oh, that's a fan.
Yes, it's a fan.
Cannot fall that way. I wish I had a green screen so I could just fade out of existence, but we are not filming in front of a green screen, so I cannot. But change the world. My final message. Goodbye.
Anyway, please do not take anything that Benson said to heart. He really does love this community.
Or do. That's fine. That's your opinion. That's okay. I'll still like or not like you either way. I'm sorry. I genuinely do enjoy people. I swear.
Before you get me canceled, thank you so much for watching. We really hope you enjoyed. If you like this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you want to see more from me, as well as maybe Benson. At this point, I think Connor's going to replace him.
I'm being Thanos snapped into the cancel void. That just... done. It's okay.
I will leave all of his links down in the description box below if you want to follow more of his hot takes.
They're not really hot takes. I only do hot takes when it comes to like the podcast.
Can I do my outro?
No, you're not allowed. I need to defend myself. They're not hot takes. With her and like stuff like this, hot takes. With Shogun Eye on this podcast, hot takes. Everywhere else, I would generally consider my reviews to be like a good consensus among gamers. Except I just go more in depth about everything. There are maybe some nitpicks and like some other stuff that maybe people disagree, but the general verdict of my stuff, people may or may not agree on. I don't think I'm that controversial, but when it comes to like communities and businesses as a whole, I don't hold back. I don't hold back, and I'm not sorry for it. But I love you guys either way, even though you probably don't love me. Anyways, finish your end card.
As well as his links, there will also be links to my social media down in the description box, so be sure to follow all of those if you want to hear any more future updates from me. Thank you so much for watching. Say bye, babe.
Goodbye. Good friends, goodbye.
Forever.